Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Vader Games in the building. You know what it is. Another episode. We got a special one. Why always me? Why always me? Why? Why always me? Got another episode. Episode 119. 119. First things first. My peoples come first. My people, those that are here, those that are no longer here, thought of and always remembered. I'm your host, Vader Games. This is an episode that's going to be we're going to tackle some heavy topics. And I entertained the idea of making this a panel show, sending out the invite. But nah. I've heard enough. Thank you, each and every one of you in the chat. I will big up the person that was here the person that was here first in the building, being like, Vader, where you at? Technical difficulties, please. I needed a OBS update. I needed a Chrome update. So all that hit me at once, and it's weird because I was working earlier, had no problems. Then I needed the update. So thank you so much for your patience. This show's going to be on point, 5 minutes per topic. I might go a little longer per topic depending on how things go, depending on the conversation with each and every one of you. But thank you each and every person that takes time to watch, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And again, let me shout out the very first person in the building before I get into this, because I really should do that. Let me shout out the very first person in the building. Paul was like, Vader, where you at? Hey, I told you earlier, few technical difficulties, but you're here early. And I appreciate it. Listen, I'm getting these platinums, not quite at Pep's level, but I'm getting them. This man's on the next level of stress, but we're going to speak on that and many other things. Let me go through these topics in case you're listening and not watching. Today, I'm going to talk about the World Cup. There's no way I can't. I have to talk about the World Cup. I'm going to talk about the exit, right, to Al Hilal. Also, don't get triggered. This does not apply to you if it doesn't ring true to you, all right? But I'm going to have to speak about unintelligent, emotional fans. I'm going to have to do it. And we're all guilty of it, but I'm going to have to address that today. Manchester City loss. For me, Manchester City loss is like spring cleaning for me. And I'll explain why. It's spring cleaning for me. Maybe you guys can understand and relate. I'm going to be a little too philosophical here, but I'm not. Actually, no. If you've competed, if you haven't, if you've watched enough, we've all competed. I don't need to do this. We've all competed in all different areas of life, all different walks of life. We've all competed before. We know that it's not one decision. It's not one person that is involved in the win or the loss, right? Sometimes there's maybe that crucial late in the series in terms of a decision or a person that kind of costs or create the win or create the loss. But there's many different steps along the way. And I got to speak on that because too much is getting so rudimentary, so simple, so kindergarten with how the sport's being talked about. And I'm going to address that. And we got to be honest. And again, I know this is a tournament. I know we haven't seen all of our players play. I know we haven't seen the competition play. But if we just simply go based off of last season, if we also go based off of how similar or how different we look, City are chasing Liverpool and Arsenal. And even Chelsea's looking respectable with regards to how they're playing in the Club World Cup. So we may be chasing all three of those, definitely the first two in Liverpool and Arsenal. And this is going to require a proper breakdown. Hear me out. We know how most teams are going to set up to try and play us, right? How most teams are going to figure out where we're dangerous, figuring out where we're weak. We pretty much know this. This is the lens. This is the focus that I want us looking at upcoming games. This is the lens that I want us looking at, even if we're reflecting back on this Club World Cup. We know how teams are going to set up. We know where we're probably going to be vulnerable. How do we then best set up tactically? How do we then maybe best set up personnel wise? How do we then maybe set up in terms of going in the market and strengthening if that's still required? I'm going to address all of that. So thank you, each and every one of you in the comments right now, showing that love. And let's get into it. Let's get into it. First, and I have to say it. I have to. This my whole thumbnail, my head down. I'm scratching my head, right? And again, the reason why I really chose not to make this show a panel show is because obviously the game happening the game happening not yesterday but the day before, or no, happening, was it yesterday? Am I messing up my days? Nah, it did happen yesterday. Actually, yeah, it did. But just going back with regards to the games being played, okay? There's been Twitter X Spaces, there's been Manchester City, other shows, other panels, other channels that have discussed it. And to be honest with you, to be completely honest with you, the people that I would have brought on this show have already talked about it. I've already heard their point of view. I've already heard how they looked at the game, how they assessed the players, how they assessed the manager, and how they assessed the competition that we were facing, or not really assessed the competition. Many dismissed and poo-pooed on the competition. But I was able to hear everyone's opinion. All right. And that's something that I actually enjoy. I take comfort in. You don't always have to be the first to say something. You don't always have to be the one to blur something out just to get it out. Sometimes take a second. And again, it's a different game. I understand. For some, you got to feed the algorithm. For some, it's a channel that they're trying to build. And I don't disrespect. I don't take anything away from that. You got to do what you got to do in terms of how you got to feed the system, how you got to put things out there. And again, making a platform for others to speak, nothing wrong with that. I would have been comfortable speaking yesterday, but yesterday was Canada Day and it was time spent with the family. I would have been comfortable saying what's top of mind, absolutely. But there's only so much that you can say because the conversation's got to flow. 6, 7, 8 panel members, everyone's got to get their say. So because I was able to hear Twitter X Spaces, I was able to hear other YouTube channels, is the reason why today I was like, let me go solo on why always me. Why always me? Let me go solo with the why always me and speak on this, right? And what I'm hearing, Pep, I'm talking to you. Pep, I know you're not accepting my DMs, you're not accepting my emails. We do need to talk. When it happens, it does happen. But Pep, I hope you're listening. All right. I hope you're listening because it's not what they're saying. Pep, it's not what they're saying, but it's how. They want you out, Pep. They want you out sooner than later. How can you hear it any other way when it's one bad season, Pep? When it's one bad preseason tournament, Pep, they want you out. Listen to how they say it, not what they say, not what the question is. Oh, we all question. I'm one that questions. I'm like, Pep, the starting lineup, starting 11. What's Pep trying to cook here? Asking, right? Not demanding. There's asking the question, and then there's questioning the decision, doubting doubting the decision even before a ball's been cooked. I said kicked. There's just hear me out, okay? They want you out, Pep. So listen to how, not what they question. All right? Them questioning your back line, okay? Them questioning your midfield, okay? Them questioning your attack, okay? Them questioning your tactics, okay? But how are they questioning it? Hear it. You can hear it. It's like it's bright as day. They want you out. They're gonna disguise it. They're gonna dress it up. They're gonna maybe not say it as publicly as they would want to, right? I mean, there's some out there that want to be the first. I was the first to say Pep out. There's a lot of people out there that want to be the first to say, the first to have doubt in the manager, and doubt is normal. What is no one's perfect. No manager is perfect. Let's get into this because I got a lot on my chest. Let me get this timer ready. I'm gonna apologize from now. I'm gonna get to the comments. Trust me, I will get to the comments. But I got to get a few things off my chest. So I started. I see you. Please, love, Blue Heart, Paul in the building, Fox in the building, Path. YSK. I see you. Prime. I see all of you, and I will get to the comments. I will. Maybe I'll just flash it up there. Everyone saying big up. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Let me get this timer going because, yeah, we got a lot. All right. All right. Let's got this. Whew. Here we go. Vader game. All right. Club World Cup preseason tournament. Hey, it is a preseason tournament. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not downplaying it now that I've exited out of the tournament. It has always been a preseason tournament, okay? And this has always been tricky. And I said this on previous shows. I said this, have been featured on other shows. I thought that City were going to be put in a somewhat of a disadvantage because these are additional games being played. These are extra kilometers being put on players and players that showed difficulty keeping fitness last year, all right? But obviously there's the manager and why he's paid the big bucks to find the right balance. Have this tournament to maybe figure out how we might attack this upcoming season. Have this tournament to also, hey, win it. Because if we're in it to win it, that's what we do. If we're in something, we're going to try and win it. That's facts. That's Manchester City. It was also, again, because there's an opportunity here financially to maybe offset some of the things or just, bring in some income that'll help with some decision that could be made in the future. All for it. And then because of this is a preseason tournament, it gave a chance for Pep. It gave a chance for the other coaching staff and players to get familiar with each other, get some reps in, actually in real time play these games against competition, not strictly on the training pitch. So I was all for it, okay? How we played in our games, hit or miss. Again, preseason. I'm cool with that. How we played in this last game versus Al Hilal, which many are going to compare this game to the game previous to that in Juventus and being like, what happened here? We had a poor game in many aspects. Okay? Many aren't going to like that answer. Now, I don't want many reasons to why things went wrong. I want, what's the one main reason? What's the one cause? That's what I want to point my finger at. That's what I want to complain about. Many things. I question the 11 in terms of what's Pep trying to do here? Because I saw the dynamic of Savinho and Doku, and I was like, ooh, okay. I've often thought that one or the other makes most sense in terms of balance because they're not the most clinical. They're not the most in terms of providing assists consistently. So maybe Pep's thinking, I want balance. I want it to be very consistent on both sides of the pitch. That's why he's got the two. But I was like, ooh, okay, that's interesting. And then he goes with Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and Reinders. And that had me thinking he must not be worried about Al Hilal with regards to their possession that much, right? Again, all this is going to be hindsight. All this is things that maybe should have been seen prior. But it's a tournament for Pep to kind of tinker around. And as I say this, and I see your comments, thank you all. I have to say this as well, because I think the approach was working. What Pep did, me being like, I don't know, Pep, we should have been up comfortably first half. Comfortably, we should have been up the first half. If players had their shooting boots, if the keepers did his job and more, All right, I'm not going to downplay it. Did his job and more. Kept a lot out. We had shots on target. We were pressing. We had corners. I hate that a lot of things went wrong in this game, but to say that the starting 11 is what went wrong, I don't know how you do that without doing things in hindsight because of the result. Now, should we be concerned with how Holland's maybe not being as clinical as we've seen? I don't think so. Again, it's a preseason tournament. Should we have concerns with regards to our wing play? I've actually been pretty happy with what I've seen from Zivigno and Doku. I think they've raised their level, to be honest with you. And it's early. This is early days. Season hasn't kicked off, but I like what I'm seeing. But when we look at the midfield, and when we look at maybe the differences between that Juventus game and this game, is there is a significant amount of drop off in terms of mobility, right? Intelligence, reading attacking play, some of those slip in passes. I get it when they're just trying to defend, which they were doing. Al Hilal were just looking to defend, and we were getting our chances. We weren't scoring. I don't know how we go back and we're questioning the manager's decision from the very beginning of the game to be like he got it wrong. He didn't get it wrong. The players that he chose and the positions that they should have been in, especially attacking, especially when we sniffed out and prevented them from really having those opportunities to score. The first half was brilliant. Now, if you want to question the manager that he should have wised up second half, we can get into that. And I see that the clock stopped, so let me go to the comments before I continue speaking here. Fox, early in the show, Fox goes, City fans are becoming entitled. Understand winning the way we have is not normal. Couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. Blue Heart goes, I think it's nailed on that at least a couple of preseason games will now be in line. I think I think maybe two games we need. And if we have 2 games, is it really fair? Is it really fair not to put in a combination of what would be key starters as well as fringe players, not quite sure players, right? Or how do they quite fit? But I'll get into maybe how, again, we can question the manager. I got nothing wrong with questioning the manager. But listen to the tone. Listen to the tone on how you question. I mean, yeah, we'll get into that. That's gonna be hilarious. Paul goes, the worry is defense. Facts. That game, first half, could you say you had problems in attack? You can have problems in saying need to be clinical. Can't really have problems say weren't creating enough. But defensively, we definitely have to do better. We 100% have to do better. And again, thank you all for being in the comments right now. Please hit the like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Make sure you do the damn thing. But Ederson, Ruben Diaz, see again. I can't comfortably say that Ederson has regressed. He had a poor game, 100%. If I'm going to look at the overall defense, I don't like how they were switched off at times, and that's everyone across the board. That is Reinders, who was playing as our 6. That was Ait Nori, who got way up the pitch. And in one in particular, one of the goals scored was just instant counter because they played to get behind on that side of the pitch, obviously with him and Doku. And then even with regards to Ederson, Ederson's been more of a positional keeper. I don't think we can change him in terms of him being more like a cat and really jumping out. But yeah, he was flat-footed that game, and those goals don't just fall onto him. Blue Heart goes, there are so many weird fans calling for the exit of Pep. Pep, the best manager Man City have ever had, with trophies and out of this world football. Crazy Pep owns. Listen, Pep has a legendary status. He's earned so much credit, and to 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 say that Pep needs to fix up is calm. That's easy. To say that Pep should probably go now because he doesn't have it anymore is crazy. Fans, they can say that. And when I get later in the show, when I talk about Manchester City losses, I'll explain why. It's been all good. Thank you all for the comments. Let me skip ahead a little bit. Forgive me, I'm gonna sneeze. I fought the sneeze off. Yo, bless everyone in the building. Stop making sense is in the building. What it do? He wants and absolutely. Bono saved us. To be honest, he especially in the first half. Listen, he was amazing. He was amazing for Al Hilal. I can't lie. It was a tough game. If we, again, many want to say 9 out of 10 times, is this the result? I really don't think so. I think we come out with the win, but it's one of those where a play was on fire and we allowed 3 shots to be 3 goals, 3 shots on target to be 3 goals. Blue Heart goes, always look on the bright side of life. Over here in the Sunshine Blues, hey, there's when you say that, I got no problem. If you want to be doom and gloom, that's cool. You can't be doom and gloom all the time, and you can't be happy clappy all the time. You have to okay. Here's the thing, and I also get the psyche where some people don't look at things this way. There's a reason why they're kind of labeled optimist, pessimist, or realist, right? So if you want to take that route, cool. I can look at that game and say, okay, here's some positives that I saw. I can look at that game and say, here are things that we still need to work on in a tournament before the season kicks off. I, for one, have watched so much football, and many of us have. How do you look at what happens now to then project and say, this is the rest of the season? We've all watched preseason. Do we say, oh, this happened in preseason, therefore the rest of the season, cup play, 38 games in a week are going to be like this? 38 weeks of games, sorry? No, it's ridiculous. Absolutely. I got my man Martin in the building, man, Keening away. He goes, evening, mate. All in the chat. Yeah. Hey, love to everyone in the chat. Thanks for being in the comments, my guy. Listen, I'm not we'll get into it. Let me move on with these comments. Thank you all so very much. Beans and Toast, what you got to say here? You said, stop making sense. Beating City isn't a trophy. Beans and Toast, that's not cool. That's not cool. You know what a win versus a Manchester City means in a tournament. You know what a win, if you guys were lucky enough to be in the tournament, what a win versus you would have meant for a club in a knockout stage. Don't be like that, man. Come on. My gal is in the building. I missed. I've been 4 minutes late, as I can see by the timer. My gal Rose, good looking out. She goes, good afternoon to Martin. She's in the building. Thank you for being here. Now, let me start. Let me reset this, because we got to talk about something. And apologies if people are going to get triggered off of this one. Apologies if people are going to get triggered. Vader game. All right. Oh, why didn't that work? Oh, my bad. Okay. So I got to speak about unintelligent, emotional fans. Now, before you all get triggered in the chat, being like, Vader, he's saying I'm unintelligent. Vader's saying I'm emotional. Okay. Having emotions isn't a bad thing. Being uninformed, therefore unintelligent with regards to certain matters, is not a bad thing. We often, as fans, want to talk about how we know what the manager's thinking, how we know what the player was thinking in a situation, how we know the health status, right? How we know what, or how we assume, speculate, guess on how players maybe are on the training pitch, right? And therefore, when they are not playing, it is because the manager failed to realize that they should have been on the pitch. All right. There's a lot of uninformed, therefore unintelligent. There's a lot of, I'm in my feelings. This is what I would do. This is what I saw. This is the portion or section of information that I have, therefore it means all this. We have so many fans quick to say that the manager's overly loyal, that the manager needs to be protected against himself. Others need to take players out of the squad for the betterment of this team succeeding, because this manager cannot do it on his own. He's had one bad season, and therefore he's labeled. This is the funniest freaking thing that I'm experiencing right now as a City fan. What he's done prior to winning means nothing now. What he's doing now is what is going to happen moving forward. Like, why is it what's been more consistent, not the pattern with regards to this manager for what's going to happen moving forward? But in this instance, with regards to the poor form last season, with everything that's happened, none of us are robots. We've all had to deal with many things that have kind of layered within our life and tried our best to be professional and maybe had a dip in performance. But this manager is therefore he's stuck. I'm hearing he's Klopp-like. We're probably going to be experiencing Klopp's last season. The season that Klopp had at Liverpool is what we should expect to have for Pep, and that he's going to kick off, win or lose after this season. So much speculating. And I'm not saying this to trigger anybody. I'm not saying being disrespectful, but we have a limited amount of information. How do we talk with so much confidence with regards to the players, the manager, tactics? Like, it's absolutely hilarious. If it was so easy to get the result, to get these wins, y'all would all be managers. You bums. Now, yeah, I'm upset now. Yeah, you bums would all be managers if it was that easy. So the manager is trying to get some type of preseason prep out of these players. And you can't change the entire 11. You can't just I'm going to put in everyone that was signed in Jan, everyone signed in summer, y'all are playing. That doesn't bring any consistency. That doesn't bring any true knowledge on what can execute with regards to the game plan. Pep is getting criticized for the changes that he made after 2 defenders got yellow cards in a preseason game where maybe, again, we're all guessing at this. The manager's probably looking, you know what? I don't want them playing that many. I can kind of see a little fatigue, and this fatigue can kind of lead to missed tackles. Missed tackle can lead to a red, and then we're fighting uphill. I get the decision making in real time, in the moment, to be like, you know what? The information that I have at hand, I'm going to take off Nunez. He's got a yellow. I'm going to take off Guardiola. He had a yellow. If we're at risk of maybe surrendering another counter this way, if these players have to make a stop, they're not on a yellow. So I'm going to take my chances with someone else doing it. I get that. Oh, this manager, he's done. This manager needs out. He's not ready for this season. He hasn't recouped from last year. You know what? Sorry, everybody. Thank you in the chat. Please hit that like button. You know what I hear? I hear Pep's done. He's been figured out. He's ran out of ideas. I hear Pep. I hear Pep is playing with fear. You know what I'm hearing? More so, we're done. The fan base is done. The fan base is done in terms of confidence, one might say, courage, one might say, optimism, one might say, hope, belief in what the manager may do in the future, what these players may do in the future, right? The fear isn't with the manager. The fear is being reflected back from the fan base. The fans are feared. The fans are fearing. Oh, what if? Oh, what about that? It's a mirror being held up. It's a mirror being held up The fans are fearful, and therefore they're projecting this fear in terms of decisions being made by the manager. I'm gonna let me dispel this myth, okay? There's an ongoing, again, this is speaking to the fan base, and again, everybody moves with a certain narrative, maybe with a certain agenda. As much as as much as fans want to say Pep's got his favorites, everybody wants to say Pep's got his favorites. Fans got their favorites. Look at some of the silliest conversations and debates happening because of player versus this player, right? But fans got their favorites, and therefore, because they think with their favorites, they then assume this manager's got favorites. But let me dismiss this silly myth, okay? We happen to lose the Champions League to Chelsea, right? Pep played that game, started that game without a defensive midfielder, okay? Let me go back then. I said this back then, and obviously with time passing, things have changed. But I was the only one to say this because everyone was pointing fingers. Everybody was pointing fingers and being like, Sterling cost us. Sterling, Pep has showed too much favoritism towards Sterling. Oh, the reason why Pep didn't play a defensive midfielder was his love for Sterling. Sterling cost us. If it wasn't for Sterling, we would. If it wasn't for Pep and his love for Sterling, we would. Back then, I said, you know what? Pep probably looked at how we played those previous games versus Chelsea and was like, they don't really pose that many attacking threats. I'm going to take my chances and have more attacking players on here. And chose not to play defensive midfielder. And guess who he chose to play? Stick with me. You're going to see some similarities with what just happened in the game versus Al Hilal. Pep chose to play Ilkay Gundogan. Right? Chose to play Ilkay in the 6. Because again, I understand the manager's thinking in terms of, let me get someone a little more possession, a little more creative, a little more attacking to maybe play in that role, because I don't think there's going to be that many opportunities. Now, again, Al Hilal was amazingly clinical. 1 shot on target, 1 goal. We were so unfortunate. 1 shot on target for Chelsea, goal, right? Again, it happens. But this myth, Pep had his favorites. Pep played Sterling. This is what cost us. Pep showed that he wanted to have an extra attacking player. He also showed love in Ilkay Gundogan. Now, when I want to bring this all forward, I want to bring it back to the present. What does Pep do? Pep played this game where he played Reinders more in the 6, and he also kept on Ilkay Gundogan, a consistent player in terms of who he's shown that he's got trust in. Now, was Ilkay supposed to play a full 90? I don't believe so. Was Ilkay poor in the game before being subbed off? I don't believe so. He did show some inability to keep up with the pace of the game, and I think that's why Pep made his changes. But early on, even that goal from Bernardo Silva, a large part of that was because of Ilkay and his positional play and how many of them were crashing in that box. So I want to dismiss this favorites. It was Sterling, right? Now, did Pep learn from that mistake? I think so, because I think he believes, or he wanted to test out in a preseason tournament whether Reinders could play that role. Now all the fans are upset because it's a knockout tournament. Why are you going to do that? When do you want us to do that? What game would you have wanted them to do that? I get it didn't work out. The end result, it didn't work out. But that first half, it looked like it was working pretty well. I know I'm falling behind on the comments. I know. Let me get back to it. Where was I? Thank you for saying spot on, everyone. Beans and Toast goes, if you didn't, you wouldn't have mentioned Blackburn, silly Billy. Would you like to do more comparisons other than the Premier League? Oh, I think that's a conversation in the chat I may have missed. Okay, you guys are going back at it. Let's keep it all respectable in the chat, please. Rose, my gal goes, Vader, that's just wishful thinking because they know what damage Man City can and will do. No, I hear it. Close enough. Z and X or Z and X. Zex goes, Kosanov is needed for Diaz. If we're going to play this high line, which we always play this high line, Diaz turns like a 14-wheeler in transition thanks to this, thanks to his gym obsession. Diaz hasn't changed in terms of whatever his fitness plan, and we know that those trainers are constantly assessing agility and speed and all that stuff. I will say this. Those recovering defensive counters, close your eyes right now, City fans. When you think of those stops, it's Walker, right? So we're figuring it out. Who's going to have to be that furthest back player? How does the entire team read when there is movement, and sometimes who are you panning off to which player as the ball may go over top, and how are we countering, how are we pressing to not give so much time for the opposition to have the ball to foot and have time to make those passes? Those are all things being figured out or trying to be figured out, and we got it wrong. I agree that Ruben Diaz isn't the swiftest of feet. He's not the one that should be chasing down any striker. Any striker, in my opinion, is quicker than Ruben Diaz. So that's got to change in terms of if it is going to be a high line, who's really going to be the furthest back? And if it's going to be Kosanov, then we're going to have Kosanov. Kosanov's going to have he has a huge learning curve in terms of, because he would be the Ruben Diaz in terms of commanding that line. And yeah, a lot's got to change. I know I'm falling behind on the comments. Mancunian Way goes, can I jump on, mate, please? I'm gonna send you the send you the link a little later. I promise. I'll send you the link a little later. Good look now, Mancunian Way, Martin in the building. Blue Heart goes, I personally think Pep picked the match day team. Oh, I got a reminder here. I personally think Pep picked the match day team on the training session for that game. He wants the best attitudes on the pitch and the most capable and up for it. Listen, hey, Blue Heart, if it were up to me, right? If we all want to talk, if I was manager, I'm doing exactly that. No one's knowing that they're playing until go through the morning warm-up. You go over instructions. You see who's caught it, who's well understood. That's the 11. Because I can make adjustments later, but I want to start off the game with those that are dialed in, that those know what their roles and responsibilities are, know what the instructions are, 100%. And there's nothing wrong with that when you trust the players to be able to adjust, to also trust the bench to come on and have an impact within the game. Yeah, that's what I'll do. No, Martin, it's all good. I'll send you the link a little later. Just getting through the topics. And I want to give you plausible deniability, because if I'm the one talking about unintelligent, emotional fans, they can come after me. They can say, look, this is what Vader was saying, not so much a pylon. But there is so much fear amongst the fan base. There's so much doubt after 1 year of poor performance compared to the so many years of success, right? And Pep said it in many press conferences way back. He's like, he's only been here this long because he's been winning. And I kind of thought that was a little tongue-in-cheek. I was like, yeah, you're winning, but even if it kind of dipped a little bit, there would be patience to be like, hey, we trust you to figure out, to get back to your winning ways. I am amazed that patience is not there. I'm amazed for all of us that live our lives that have tripped on a curb, missed a step before, to be so ruthless with regards to this manager and these players. These players don't mess up on purpose. These players play injured. these players play at a high level even when they got craziness within their lives. And yeah, I get it. They're professionals. 100%. They're supposed to do that. But they're also supposed to bounce back and adjust and correct when they've made a mistake. And you don't label them based off of the mistake. Why do none of the fans label our players or our manager for their best successes? For their better moments? Why do we label them based off of their errors, based off of the mistakes? Why is that? You know how often everyone's quick to say bozo gene, bozo moment? How often do we say clutch, got the clutch gene, clutch moment, right? Everyone wants to remind us of Akanji's error with that pass back to Ederson, where it was clear miscommunication, maybe not on the same page. When do fans remind you about Akanji's slip through pass that actually created that breakthrough opportunity that Rodri was able to get on the end of? Right? There is fear amongst the fan base. There is so much emotion, and I'm not taking anything away from it. You're supposed to be emotional, and again, I'm emotional as well. But when the emotion, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to say this: for when the emotion turns evil, because we all understand good versus evil. When it gets nasty like that, that's when I tune out. That's when I'm like, you know what, I got enough of this. Y'all can go on your evil rants. Y'all can do all that. I'll come back at another time. Because honestly, you put the phone down, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitter X Spaces, just put the phone down. And you can just hear it. You can just hear it. I have children in my life, and it's funny because children are very in tuned. Like, you know, their frequencies or their awareness, like, you know, you can keep them away. Let me put it this way: you can keep kids away from seeing a scary movie, but they can hear it, right? Like they can hear the sounds, they can hear how the music plays. Like it creates a mood. There's that tension there. I've had to put the phone down, and wrongfully or not, I had YouTube on speaker, not through my earbuds. I've had Twitter X Spaces, and they are like, why do they hate so and so? What did that person do to so and so? Just how people speak amongst each other. And when it gets to that point, I tune out. I don't need that. Bless. Let me get back to the comments. I got Blue Heart goes, the first 3 matches in the Club World Cup showed our true football. Really? We beat those clubs in second gear. We did, and Pep was managing this as a preseason. He didn't want them going balls out from the beginning, because that's going to impact us when the season kicks off. That's going to impact us with the runs that we tend to do late in seasons. And look at all of the injuries we had. I know that's on his mind. Echeverri, I hated seeing that man's going to be out for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. That's the worst. You don't want. And I'm thankful that he was the one. Actually, I haven't even caught up with what's happening over at Manchester City, because I know that Haaland kind of. I didn't like that reaction that Haaland had when he kind of went for that, reached out for that goal. I didn't like how that contact happened with Foden when he scored as well. His ankles kind of got all twisted up there. And we got Echeverri out. I'm thankful that hopefully injuries that are minor. Would I have liked to stay in the tournament? 100%. But I definitely would not have wanted any injury going into the season. Not one. And I think we've avoided that, I hope. Yeah, I agree, Vader. Pointless. Getting mad over something you have no control over. None. And then and a lot of people want to speak like, how do you know this? How do you know that? None of us know. All of us are going off perspective. So there's a lot of wait and see. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of fear. We kind of deal with it. Yeah, let me talk about this. I'm gonna enjoy this one. And I promise to be quick. I'll be quick on this this next topic for sure. Let me do this. Oh, actually, I didn't do that right. All right. So I don't think you guys heard the sound with that one. Let's try that again.
Vader games.
That's better. All right. I'm gonna have some fun with this one. All right, everybody hit the like button, be involved. All right, be in the comments. But if you're not familiar with the term spring cleaning is kind of like an annual thing. It kind of represents like change, out with the old, in with the new. So when you have spring, it's good to kind of declutter, get things out of there, right? Twitter X in particular can get kind of busy. Losses for me, I've treated losses for me like like spring cleaning. So everyone's entitled to their opinion, 100%. I got no problem with your opinion. I can take offense with how you express your opinion, though. Like, if you're gonna start dressing up Ederson in like looking like a terrorist, I'm like, all right, that type of humor, I'm not cool with. All right, see ya. If you're on the move to be like, this loss, Pep out, okay, that's you. That ain't me. I don't think philosophical. I don't think our philosophy, I don't think our how we look at with regards to games throughout the season is going to really gel. So, all right, let's you know what? Let me clean house. If you're also going to judge a player not to be good for the rest of the season because of one game, I'm like, you know what? You hold on to that opinion. These losses for me, these Manchester City losses expose a lot. They're like a light. They're like a light. And if you've ever not been sure about the company that you keep, City losses will help you with that one. City losses will let you know who the real ones are, right? Who's going to be around to support, and who's going to be around to be like, bums, I told you so, season's over, I'm going on loan, I don't care about this season. I'm gonna tell you something real quick with regards to how I watch sports. I watch for the competition. Like, I can't expect every game to be a win. I can't expect every player or manager to get it right. But I do, as much as I like to see a player succeed, or my team succeed, I just as much like to see how my team reacts to the losses or to a poor play. Like, I don't even think I'm going to be good at explaining that. But I don't just watch for the wins. I don't just watch for the trophies. And it's and I also get why some fans aren't like that. Like, some fans tune out. Some fans are like, that's not for me. Maybe I've got enough problems, around me. I don't need my football to be a problem as well. Whatever it is. But now that I've seen more of that, I actually, now that I talk out loud, if that's how some of the fans are going to deal with these losses, and you're only going to be good company if City are winning, then I kind of know how to conversate, right? I know how we link up then. If things are cool, you know what? How you talk about the club, how you support the players, how you speak on the manager, if all that is like supportive when we're winning, okay, I get it. If all that is like, you know what, this player needs a little more development, I can see the player there. I can see a player in there. I can see where they need to improve, maybe with strength, maybe with decisioning, maybe with positioning. I can kind of see that. If you ain't about waiting for that to happen, I get that. This loss, I thought I had spring cleaning last year. This preseason tournament, All right, now I know, because these games, this isn't impacting the trophies, right? The trophies, the prems, the UCLs, right? Everyone wants. I want all trophies, but the trophies. If you're reacting like this to this Club World Cup, yeah, I know how things move. Let me send my man the link. I'm not sure which topic he's gonna want to be a part of, or whether it's passed already. But I'll send an invite because I'm actually got maybe 15. Oh, I'm so far behind on the show, but I got 50 more minutes in the show. So let me send the link right now. Bear with me. Enjoy. What can I play in the background? Yeah. Thank you for your patience, each and every one of you. If you haven't, we have a few more topics to discuss. I'm gonna send the invite. If he's going to be all overly emotional, I will kick him off the show. All right. Overly emotional, I will kick him off the show. All right, let me clean this up. Put this there. Let's do that. Let's start the next topic.
Beta games.
All right. I'm gonna ask the chat this. Can we all agree? Can we please all agree? Unless it is the last seconds within a game, right? Last few minutes, or like a late winner, or a late defensive stop, something like that. Can we stop doing the I blame this player, I blame everything on this decision? Can we stop that? Because games don't play that way. A game that has 90 minutes in it, maybe at a time, like one decision is not the reason why the game was lost. Especially this past game. Like we can't be talking about this past game like this game was lost because of Pep starting 11. we can't be doing that. I don't like the mistakes that I'm seeing from the defense. Yes, blue heart, exactly. Like Sergio Aguero, like that, right? Balotelli pass, his assist, like, again, we can credit Sergio, absolutely amazing. He got the goal because that he stood up. He could have actually went down with the tackle with a foul in the box, but stood up, got the goal. But also, we can't discredit Balotelli's assist, right? We can't do that. We can't like, so late winners. We can, like, that's how we got the win, right? But also, there were many decisions throughout the game that got us into that position to win. Are we going to ignore what Dzeko did? What sparked the belief? Let's go, right? We can't do that. And I also want to point out, when it comes down to this game in particular, when with our loss, I hated how clinical they were. Again, I think Ederson needs to improve. Was he the sole reason for the loss? No. Was it the starting 11 the reason for the loss? No. I think it was a combination of, absolutely, Blue Heart. That was the best assist. I think it was his only assist in the Prem too, I think. But we can't look at that game and say It's the managers. It's solely on the manager's fault. It's Ederson. Ederson's a bum. Diaz is a bum. These guys are all done. They need out. Again, manager needs to change and help with these players to recognize where the threats are when we do lose possession, right? Because everyone's got to be dialed in, and it's not just the back line. It's not just the back four. I've played striker. I've played center back. Like, I'm yelling my head off because the players in front don't just lost possession. Oh, now it's on you guys to defend and prevent the goal. No, we're all in business to this. We're all in the business of preventing goals. And I want to see improvements with every player on how they track back. The only player that kind of has a luxury, and even that needs to change, is Holland. Holland needs to put some pressure on some of these center backs not to be able to play forward. If he's got to play it sideways, cool. Playing it forward, no. Give our team some time. Same goes for our wingers. Don't allow those left backs or right backs to be able to play forward. If they got to play it centrally, cool. I think those are some of those things that we all need to fix up. And then, and I haven't watched the game for the second time. You all know that I do this. I watch the game first, and I'm emotional just like each and every one of you. The second game, I'll sit back and I'm gonna watch it. Did I see things correctly? Is this really what I saw? But I saw in particular second half, and I think credit to Inzaghi, because I think he said, look for those counters, especially when Ait-Nouri is very advanced up the pitch, because we're not gonna get the most we're not gonna get the best run back from the midfielders on that side of the pitch. And definitely we know that there's a change in pace with the wingers that we have in Savinho and Doku. Yeah, they're quick to go forward, don't quite seem to have that same energy getting back. And I think that kind of cost us, as well as Ait-Nouri being so far up. So we've got to fix up 100%. It doesn't fall on one. Do I want to point out and say we win that game if Pep had a different 11? Well, I think it's not so much maybe maybe if we have a different 11, we score more goals, right? But again, I had no problem with how we were scoring or the chances we were creating. Midfield and in defense, that needs to fix up. And this is why this tournament was going to be helpful for that. Yeah, this match was like Inter versus Barca. And the funny thing is, you see how they played, and this is kind of like my last topic of the day. So let me go and actually continue on, because I want to keep this show flowing. I need to be on time, because I do have my prints that I have to go pick up. So let me keep this clean. Actually, I got to start the clock as well. Thank you for the comments as well, everybody.
Vader games.
Now, before you, I was almost gonna call people that are gonna criticize me fools. I'm not gonna do that. Before y'all joke around and being like, Vader, the gaslighter, is downplaying next season. He wants the underdog. He wants no expectations or no pressure on City. We all know all those things are false. There's always going to be pressure on City. Look at the manager, right? Look at this manager. This manager, regardless of the form that we had in the season, we're supposed to be favorites to win this tournament, right? Regardless of any season that comes up, City are supposed to be favorites. But I wanted to, again, let's be balanced here. We are chasing Liverpool last year with the form that we had and the form that they had, and they've now gone on and improved in all areas that they were actually weak in. They improved at their left back, they've improved at right back, and they've improved with an actual goal scoring and creative 10. Florian Wirtz is that guy. He's legit. No downplaying that. They've gotten better, and they already won the league, right? They retained, and now they have two players that are comfortably with the club, don't have no contract talks over their heads in Salah and Van Dijk. We are chasing, no question, we are chasing Liverpool. We're chasing Liverpool, and Arsenal finished ahead of us last year, and they've got their signings that they're making a lot in terms of them improving in their attack, because we know defensively they're going to be good. And for whatever reason, I'm going to be doing a lot of kind of like scouting, watching, because I want to see are low blocks being played versus the Liverpools and the Arsenals as consistently as they are versus City. And I want to see how I want to see the approach. I want to see how they breaking it down. Before, when it was Saka and Odegaard were in good form, I really liked that synergy. I really liked how they connected to be able to be on the same page and break down these low blocks and create opportunities. That's what I would like to see. And I don't know which midfield combination is going to be with regards to the striker, with regards to the striker or the wing play. But we need to see that. We need to see that. And then a slight chance, only because they continue to win. Chelsea continue to win, and Chelsea are in this tournament. So I think we're definitely chasing Liverpool and Arsenal. Let's see how this transfer window ends. It might be Chelsea as well, because Chelsea weren't far off of us. Beans and Toast wants to say Liverpool definitely play a lot of low blocks. Hopefully Wirtz will be the one to unlock them. You guys, all right, fair. And you know what? I'll admit I don't watch Liverpool like that, but I will. Because when I say that, I want to definitely, I'm going to do the comparison in terms of teams that we've obviously both played, right? I'm not going to go off of, last year this is how so and so played. I want to see, like, you know what, if we ever happen to play the same team in consecutive weekends, like let's say we play at Crystal Palace, you guys play at Crystal Palace, I want to see whether the defending is very, very similar. I know attacking style is going to be very different. 1 second, I gotta take this. Yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, but I definitely want to compare how teams defend versus us, and if they're consecutive weekends is very helpful. It's, you know what, you can't really change the systems that much, that drastically. So that's why I would go about it. Rose agreeing with me out here. Paul goes, first year Pep will not have the best squad. Let's see how good he is. He seems worried. The first year Pep not having the better squad? Sure. I mean, I think that quad chase season for Liverpool was right up there. I think they were actually a better squad than City, but I hear it. Um 771 says, according to Athletic article, Chelsea are best at breaking down low blocks. However, they have the worst conversion rate. And that's why they need a striker. 100%. I hear it. Now, this last topic, and I'll get Martin on the show in the future. We'll definitely link up. There's going to be more. We're going to have lots to talk about for sure. So let me get this going.
Beta games.
And so all right, let me try and say this as concise as I can. Okay. We know teams are going to set up with low blocks, and that's why it kind of flows. And because we know that, we also can anticipate where they think we're weakest. And I think right now they think we're weakest at right back. I think they think we're weakest, maybe that in between ball, in between of the right back and the center back, to maybe attacking that Diaz side. I think they'd be less, if they're going to pick their sides, I think they'd choose to at a lesser degree, to attack our left-hand side, right? Nori and Guardiola, I think they choose to attack that less. Also, where we need to be cautious, right? We can be in attack. Where we need to be cautious is how much we commit forward, or how and when we commit forward. One thing that I definitely did agree with many of the conversations that were happening on Twitter X and on YouTube is I'm standing watching the games, And this is going back a few seasons ago, or even last season. There's times when KDB, let's say it's Foden playing right wing, KDB in the midfield. KDB kind of goes out wide and then curls around to do an overlap, right? He's doing the overlap. That's allowing the defense, the back four, to kind of stay back. But KDB is the one to get across and get that whip in. That whip in, obviously, if Foden delivers it to him, takes Foden out of that early ball with regards to the attack. And the dependency is going to be whoever else in the midfield, obviously the striker, and maybe the left back who could receive that ball that KDB is going to put into the mix. I would yell all the time, release the ball. There's no one better at that cross than KDB. Also, release that pass with KDB, because whoever's defending Foden is going to have to peel off to get to KDB. Put that pattern, right? That running pattern, that defensive pattern in a person's mind. I want to see a lot more overlaps, and I want to see those crosses in the box, and I also want to see our ability to have our midfielders, at the very least, be at the top of the 18-yard box. Like just be able to kind of get on the end of one. Haaland needs to be in there. That's my biggest thing. And because we know how most teams are going to be a low block against us, I think that widens the pitch. I think that gives us some opportunities. There's a few where I'm like, again, I got no problem questioning or asking Pep, but it's like, Pep, why aren't the players releasing those passes to the players making the overlap? My question to Pep is also, why doesn't Haaland sometimes make the near post cuts? So hear me out. I hear this all the time because everybody wants to talk about, Savinho, poor. Look at his assist. Look at what his connection. Look at Doku. He always hits the first man, or he doesn't get that pass to Haaland. I must say this. And I know I'm going to say this again, but I'm going to say this. If when Doku gets past his man, going outside, right? Dropping that shoulder, going outside, and he doesn't have the best left foot, but he's going to take that left foot and cross it in. Doku doesn't have the best left foot. And Haaland is going to peel off his man and go on the back shoulder of the defender, forcing Doku to not only have to get it past the first center back, but he's going to have to get past the second center back to even get the ball to get to Haaland. I don't agree with that. I think if you're going to be harsh and being like, Doku's been poor with those crosses, is he supposed to get a pass between two defenders in Haaland? And if he doesn't, you're criticizing him? Like, we need to change these things up. And I think we also need to improve on how we look at ball. I'm going to reset this clock. I'm going to bring my man, Mancune, to the stage. He's going to have a quality 5 minutes and on any topic that he would like to choose. And let me bring him to the stage right now.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Vader Games.
Martin.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. How are you, my friend? Long time no speak.
I know, long time. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
I'm not bad. Good that you're good. We got a special treat. Thank you for joining the show. And thank you for being in the comments and obviously hitting the like and being supportive.
Yeah. Smash those likes. Come on, guys. Smash those
much
likes.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna give you 5 clean minutes. Whichever topic you like to address, whatever you want to express, that's on to you. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I am actually excited for the upcoming season. I know many are not. Some have. But the one thing I will say, listen, the Club World Cup's Club World Cup for me. People know my stance on that, and to each their own. See it as you want to see it. For me, either one shouldn't be criticised. But I'm excited because I have seen a difference. I've seen a major difference from last season, and I think I'm looking at more off field than than I am on field right now.
Okay,
I'm
explain.
looking at a very different Pep Guardiola. I'm looking at a Pep Linders and a Colo Torre that are in sync. Because I never saw Lilo and Bichen's hugging and laughing and really, having that
Yeah.
camaraderie that you want within your coaching staff.
Yeah.
I see players smiling again. I'm seeing players sort of being a team again. And I get it, one defeat. Was it great? No. Was it all bad? No. I thought it was a very entertaining game from if you were a neutral watching it, great game of
Especially
football.
because all the drama was in the second half. Yep.
Yeah. I understand people want to see the younger players, the new lads, the Kushinovs, the Victor Hayeses, the Oscar Bobs. I get all that. I think, and this is just my opinion before anyone jumps, I think we've got to allow time for some of these players. What we've got to come out of, and this is just me, as some in the fan base, I will say some, not all, the loud minority. We've got to give players more than 2 or 3 games to show anything. I don't like this. Bring them in as the next superstar, and then all of a sudden the first mistake they make, we've got to go back and spend 50-60 mil on a brand new player again. I'm not triggering. That's Chelsea FC mentality. I don't want to be doing that. If we're going to give players a chance, we have to realise they will make mistakes. People will make mistakes. That is just football, But we've got to come out of this. I've seen it too much.
Yeah, we tend to harper more on the mistakes than the good moments as well.
Yeah, because let's go back a week. Juventus, we were City back, City this, and that's why I didn't gloat or go over the top over that, because I knew the first time we didn't do that, it was going to cause meltdown again. We can't be doing one win, we're back, City are going to win the quad, to suddenly, pep out, and then the whole world breaks down again. And the biggest thing for me, Beta, which is sad, is 10 years ago, we were building statues for Aguero. People wanted Yaya, Silva, Company. Now, I don't know where the next statue's coming from, because I don't know where the next legend is going to get the respect out the door.
No. You hear how they're also talking about Haaland right now.
Yeah, and yes, even I have been a bit critical of Haaland, but that's because I know what he is. I've always said, do I think Haaland is the best striker footballer? No. Do I think he's the best finisher in the world football? Yes. What I want to see is, let's get Haaland more involved with the wide men or the other people that are just behind him. That's something you work on the training ground, and that will come. That's going to come.
And we were seeing that, though, because we were seeing training footage where they were doing Haaland holding up the ball, or some of those passes at the top of the 18, and they were taking those one-time shots. The keepers were trying to defend it. And what did we see? We saw Haaland hold up play in Shirky's goal. So it's like, I have an issue, and I've had an issue for a very long time, because when Haaland joined us, when he was 21, 22, they are already labeling him as a complete player. Like, this is what you get of Haaland, and not one player like that.
We did it with Kushinov. He was being labelled the next Bobby Moore, the next Maldini, the next this, that, and the other. Why can't he just be Victor? Why can't he just be Kushinov? Sorry,
but I'm also saying
Victor Hayes just be Victor Hayes.
But I'm also saying, in terms of the player's ability, like, there's still more that they're going to add to their game. They're not set. They're not set in stone. So if there's an inefficient element of their game, if there's something that they need to improve, like, there's more to it. Like, give these players some time, because they'll get there. And there's like your point earlier, there's too much. Oh, this is what the player is. Let's get rid of them. Let's get someone else that can do it. Like, that's
football's not black and white. Football's not as black and white as they're grey or the crap. There's 2 categories now. They're absolute crap or they're absolute superstars. There's no in between anymore. And we've just seen it with Rico. Rico Lewis come in, and even I've been critical, but I'm critical on football. Where it upsets me is, we're now critical on their wives, we're critical on their girlfriends, we're critical on the bloody kids, we're critical on what they have for breakfast. What are we doing? What are we doing here? This is a little bit crazy right now. And the sad thing is, and again, we have been the most successful football club in the last 10, 15 years. Not in history, but in the last 10, 15 years, the most successful. And I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand people have been a bit hurt and we didn't play well last season. And the 1-in-14 was dreadful. But we can't keep going back to that. That's done. There's got to be a cut off. Right, we move. We now focus on this season. We can't be harping. The analogy I used yesterday was, it's like getting a new partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever, and then comparing him to your old girlfriend.
Well, as you say that,
doing that.
As you say that, I understand why, and I'm so thankful for you doing this. So I understand why. I understand why there's a higher rate of breakups. I understand why there's more people single these days, because all things in sport kind of reflect in society. There's no patience. Like, honestly, that there is no patience. Like, I come across like emotionalist, like I don't care, like I'm not passionate for my club because I'm not having these meltdowns. And when I'm not reactionary to be like, oh, I want to see a little more before I say any of this. Let me see 3, 4, or 5 more games before I actually say, oh, you said it first? You said it 5 games ago, therefore you're right and you always saw this? No, you said it early.
We're in a society, right, where everyone's got to be first and correct.
Yeah.
But the way I put it is, and my wife puts it in the best words possible, we are in I told you so world.
Yeah.
That's where we are now. You always get I told you this was coming. It's like
true.
You're not getting it's like the money on the Club World Cup. This is where I got upset a little bit. Not upset, but I was a bit baffled, because I'm like, we're more focused on the money of the Club World Cup than we are actually playing it. People want to win it because you get 100 mil.
Yeah.
Well, since when? But we were all criticizing Arsene Wenger for that 20 years ago, mate.
And Martin, there's a cost. There's a cost of this 100 mil, because these games aren't done in a vacuum. These games are going to be cumulative. These games are going to have an effect on the players. And yes, there could be like a better synergy, a better understanding of what some players can or cannot do, what combinations Pep can do or cannot do. But then there's also the offside where, yes, we've wanted this money if we were to win this tournament, but these players would have played this number of games. So Pep would have had to show some rotation. There would have been some management with regards to, oh, these players are getting to the red line. Some of these we need to back off of some of these players because of these games. So I get the wanting to win the tournament 100%, but I also understand what it would have meant for the season. Everybody in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing and legends. The way I saw this Ederson out, some of this flirting Pep out stuff, I had to do a show. Foden getting his 100th goal, no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to prop that up. And the goal was critical. That brought us that tied us within the game, right? So Foden came on and had an impact.
We focus on the negative. Too many people focus on a negative. You know why? Because the negative stuff is the headline stuff. The negative stuff is what makes you heard. It's what gets seen. Nobody's going to talk about the positive. I've not heard hardly anybody. I've heard a few, people talk about positives in that game, and there was many positives in that game as well the other night. That first half, and this is the other thing that I think we used to do it. We don't do it anymore. We don't ever praise an opposition player.
Yeah,
that goalkeeper of Al Hilal was absolutely on form.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was frustrating the heck out of me. I was like, "Duh." It's one of those, and I don't like moments like that, but credit to him. I want to say this. Everybody in the chat, please hit the like button. Please make sure to head over and subscribe. The Mancunian Way, amazing channel, a lot more consistent than me when it comes to the content, and you'll see me featured over there very soon. I got to race and go pick up my prince. Everybody in the chat, you guys
I promise you, we are trying to get him on. We are trying to get the guy
Yes,
on.
I
The
will.
guy's just gone into hibernation. He's like a
I will
bear. He
get.
goes into
Oh my
hibernation
god.
for 6 months.
Oh my gosh. Enjoy the outro, Martin. Thanks so very much. You guys are all amazing. Thank you. We'll talk to you.
Please smash them likes, and if you knew it, that's subscribe for Beta. City family, come on.
Amazing chat, amazing conversation, amazing guest. And I want to say this was episode 119 of Why Always Me. They want you out, Pep. Listen to how, not what they question. Listen to how they question you. They want you out, Pep. But bless. We'll talk soon. Take care, everybody.